It's another gorgeous day outside. So nice to see. I came across something very juicy, and I'm going to get right into it today because there's much to discuss. So, as you know, I've been watching the development of the virus worldwide since the beginning, every day. And when I came back to my home province, I ended up going to Alberta and then coming back. And I'm so glad I did, because I wouldn't have been as in touch with the numbers had I been away from home. It was important that I was within my natural surroundings, in my natural habitat, to understand really what was at play. Now, I've been watching the numbers here every day. I missed about 4 days this week, and it went up significantly. And I started to think, what the heck? So I went back through the government information and trying to look at it with a fresh mind. So I started jotting down the numbers and got my little calculator out and just started doing some figuring. So, okay, follow with me. We have 531 positive cases here in Saskatchewan. We have a population of 1.12 million people. Province the size of Texas, just so you get the land area we're talking about. Now, of that, 167 of those cases are from the far north. Now, people wouldn't really understand that coming from another province or another country, so that is Indigenous primarily. In Saskatchewan, 10% of the population is Indigenous. Now, that would represent, that 167, actually 31% of the positive tests. That's pretty high, right? It's also high considering how remote it is. Now, of the 531, 43 of those cases are healthcare workers. And this is where I get confused, because the doctor's offices have been empty. And of course, the emergency rooms, as we know, in Saskatchewan have been empty. I profiled that right off the get-go. I've had so many stories come back throughout Saskatchewan of people going there for little things like stitches and no one else being at the hospital. People going for treatment and it empty. And there's no doubt, because 12 people out of that 531 that tested positive have actually been hospitalized. 8 have been inpatient hospitalization, and 4 of those ICU. 6 have died. And that's weird, because why would the 6 die exceed the 4 in ICU? That looks a little bit off. That's something that really should be checked into, because that doesn't make sense. If they didn't make it to ICU, then why are they dead? Now, the interesting thing here, and something that we really need to look at, is the fact that here in Saskatchewan, they have done 34,261 tests in total. And out of that, 531 positives. That means that 0.015%, or the actual is 0.015498%, have been positive. What? So this really does say it's not a thing. That because 98.451% of those tests came back negative. And that gets me to my next point. On my Facebook and Instagram, I have shared several times the influenza infographic from our government from the flu season from September till the end of March. So September 2019 till March 31st, 2020. And I've kept looking for updated data on it. And I keep landing with this infographic, and the reports end at March 31st. Now, around, I guess it was getting mid-April, it was about 350 cases here in Saskatchewan. And we're at 530 now. There seems to be a disconnect here, because from what I'm looking at, and actually on the Saskatchewan influenza data, they say that surveillance has been canceled since March 31st. So they are no longer, from what I can see and deduct from that, is that they are no longer accepting flu diagnosis. What I am starting to think is that they have literally swapped out the flu risk, insurance, all of that, because it was an opportunity, and there was no liability attached to the flu, and it cost businesses, corporations money, deductions. It's like they've swapped out the flu, so the flu has actually been canceled and everything assumed to be COVID-19, which is why our entire society is being structured, wherever you are in the world, around COVID-19. Doesn't this seem odd? What I would like you to do is go into your own stats on your own area, county, province, state. The amount of tests done do not add up to this, number one. And you gotta know that the seething stockbrokers are chomping at the bit at financing all of this. This is so uncool. It really is. And they're altering our life based on nothing. And let's get back to this, because see, in Saskatchewan, we're just in phase 1 of our 5-phase plan called Reopen Saskatchewan. Yet, after the May 18th second phase date, the next 3 phases are to be determined. It's unbelievable. And in the 5th phase, our freedom is only a consideration, meaning the lifting of the state of emergency. This is something I believe we're going to see all over the place. A common trend. And it's pretty brilliant. Diabolical. But it makes sense. You see, we're in a time where biotechnology is literally at war with Mother Nature. And we are being tossed into a synthetic society based on sustainability. It was never the sustainability I meant when I was publishing my magazine back in the day, Organic Lifestyles. My sustainability was based on humanity, and biotech's version doesn't. It's about controlling life. Every single aspect. And they removed our rights in order to enact this future. This is unparalleled. And so many of us are still in the dark as to what is occurring in our world. We're moving into a future where we are to be gagged, masked, shut up and shut down. Go along with the line or get out. The will of the people has been hijacked by stakeholders, corporations, and government working together against us in order to manage us like cattle. When you look at your stats and figures and you start to do those basic calculations, don't do it for me, do it for yourself to know where you are, where you stand, and what the figures actually say without all of that noise they've created around you to keep you in the dark. It's time we ask the questions, and I am getting ready to change my program somewhat. We're going to go down to 4 videos a week. And I'm going to have a lot more time to compile my research. Get my website done because it's so hard with so much going on, but I need to focus my efforts. And I want to change this paradigm. I want to change from this activist into a marketing force. We're up against the best in the world, you guys, and we cannot deny the power of their dollar. The powers that be and the new order expects us to roll with the program. I've never rolled with anybody's program. And I know plenty of people that believe in free will and believe in humanity and are looking for a world that revolves around that humanity, where it's not just a cog in the wheel. That's biotech, ownership, greed, control. And we need to defeat it.